Every time a new LLM launches, I see the same thing. Benchmark screenshots like SWE bench, keywords like state-of-the-art performance, and charts everywhere. And then I try it, and I always end up thinking, this is basically the same one as the last one. But then Claude 4.5 Opus was released, and after testing it on real-life projects for the past couple of weeks, I must say, this one is next level. So let me show you what I mean with a couple of real projects I'm building. A Polymarket bet simulation web app, as well as prediction market arbitrage opportunity tracker. Hopefully, this will be more interesting and adaptable to your own project than a typical to-do list example. Let's get into it. So what actually changed with Claude 4.5 Opus? The new features are cool. 200k context window, sub-agents, checkpoints, all nice upgrades. But that's not the only thing that makes it exciting. The difference is in combination with how the model thinks. With older AI coding tools, you would ask for something and it would build a technically correct code that completely lacked nuance. Like you would say, build me a dashboard and get back something that works, but it's totally useless in the wider context. Claude 4.5 Opus gets what you're actually trying to do. It thinks ahead, makes smart decisions about how to structure things, catches problems before you even see them. So when you combine that better understanding with all those new features, it stops feeling like an autocomplete tool. It starts feeling like you have got an actual developer working with you. That's why I think this is the best option right now for vibe coding or just building prototypes of real apps quickly. Anyway, let me show you what I mean. I'm building a Polymarket bet simulation web app. Let's tackle this. Why this idea? Prediction markets are the hottest thing outside the AI boom. They are real platforms where people bet real money on future events. Prices reflect probability. If something trades at 70 cents, the market thinks there is 70% chance it happens. Polymarket is crypto-based, popular globally, blew up during the 2024 election, not available to US users. Kalshi is the regulated US alternative. Both let crowds put money where their mouths are, often producing solid forecasts. I didn't know about prediction markets before, so I decided as an experiment to build several MVPs using their publicly available APIs, learning by doing. After chatting with ChatGPT, I tapped into two potential MVP ideas. First, a web app for analyzing opportunities and simulating trades on historic Polymarket data. Second, a web app application to find arbitrage opportunities at Kalshi and Polymarket. Note on this one, I built it and realized there are only a few or none arbitrage options at the moment, but is still valuable to showcase an app since it's a good case study on how well Claude Code works. These ideas let you understand the prediction markets, testing whether markets are actually calibrated, practicing your forecasting skills with real result data, and discovering patterns in when the crowd gets it wrong. How did I start? First, I bought Claude Code Pro subscription, but after 30 minutes of vibe coding, I hit the limits. So switched to the expensive $200 subscription. Key learning: if planning to do more serious stuff, allocate at least $100 to $200 only for Claude Code. First things first. So I didn't start with the code myself, and the strategy I took was basically using vibe coding fully to develop this initial MVP. So to start, I needed really draft good prompt, and for that I used ChatGPT 5.2. It created this initial prompt that you can see. It's not ideal. I just basically use my stream of consciousness and pasted whatever I was thinking and some assumptions I had about this initial idea and MVP. And as you can see, ChatGPT really helped me to systematically draft everything and put in really concise and clear manner. It described the goal of the program. It mentioned that this should be built locally first. It mentioned data ingestion, core analysis, functionality, how the dashboard should look like, key features of it, architecture of the program itself, and output. My recommendation is always as well use LLMs to draft the idea and form that initial prompt, because we people, we are good on abstractions, but we kind of struggle to put everything in really detailed manner. So to build this first MVP, first part of it, because it consists of two parts. So first part is analytical, you will see in a bit, and second part was that simulation from the historical time series data of Polymarket. So the first part took me around 2 hours to build, and the second part around 1.5 hours. So it takes time. I would say the biggest time-consuming part is just waiting Claude Code to generate the answer and code, and the biggest impact from your end is just providing that initial prompt that basically initiates the program. There one thing I want to mention about working with Claude Code. You shouldn't expect that it automatically will generate end-to-end application instantly. You as a human will be in the loop. You will need to confirm the suggestions, provide access to specific documents and files. So you should expect to always be part of this creation process. And I would recommend as well, sometimes check what Claude Code is offering and what steps it is taking, because it sometimes can take implicit assumptions about your program. And if you're not understanding this, you could hit the wall fast without understanding underlying concepts of the architecture. So let's speak about core features of this analytics app, the first part of it. So I built market tracking, automatically track market resolving within 30 days, accuracy analysis, group markets by probability buckets, compare predicted probabilities versus actual outcomes, and I try to answer when markets say 70% chance, how often does it actually happen. Third one was black swan detection. This one is interesting. I try to identify surprising resolutions, configurable threshold for what counts as black swan, and track historical upsets. The fourth one was large moves monitoring, detect significant odds movements within time window, flag markets with the sudden probability shifts, useful for spotting breaking news or market manipulation. And the last one was web dashboard. It was overview kind of dashboard that helped me to actively see the probability bars and individual market detail pages with price history. So the technical stack we have here, for a backend, we have Fast API with SQL Alchemy, database SQLite, frontend Jinja 2 templates, vanilla CSS, data sources, Polymarket Gamma API, which is amazing as it has no restrictions of usage and is fully open. For design philosophy, it's kind of simple. It's local first, so we didn't store anything in cloud. On deployment, it's as well simple. We use pip install and run, and no accounts are required to use this platform. So here is our first prompt that we use for Claude Code. As you can see, it's quite long, and as we drafted to ChatGPT, it's well more defined that I would do myself. And let's see what Claude Code did by following instructions of this particular prompt. It generates a lot of files. Again, we don't need to worry about that. As web coders, we are quite interested just in the result and interpreting the text interpretation that Claude Code represents to us as humans. So here it is, the answer. It provided project location of that first result, explained what it did, what files were created, how ourselves we could start a program. So again, it's quite user-friendly. We will do that a bit later. And as you can see, in the second prompt, we spotted the first error. We tried to start a program following instructions of quick start, but when the program was executed, we got the exception error. So what I did, I just copied and pasted the error and said, again, it's not working, solve it. Claude Code instantly understood the problem and found the error, solved it in just 1 minute. So with that, we just wrapped up the first part of the program. It was quite straightforward. We just basically managed to do it with one prompt and one additional error handling prompt that helped us to start the program. For the second part of the program, again, we used ChatGPT. We drafted exactly the list of features you wanted to build. I want to point out one important thing when you're drafting the prompts. Don't fully copy what ChatGPT is offering to you, because you will get a huge pile of text with really detailed description, technically what Claude Code should do. It's not needed. Claude Code, it's quite smart itself. So you need just in abstract to explain functionalities you want to be implemented. So that's exactly what we did here. We asked to generate outcome simulation part of the page. So the second prompt should help us to create the outcome simulation page. The goal of outcome simulation page is for us as users to tap into historic Polymarket data and simulate as those markets are existing now, but really with the money, of course, manageable money, and see the results instantly. Basically to develop our decision-making and gut feeling on those bets with really limited information and see if we earn some money or not. in simulation terms. So this prompt is exactly about that. We focused only on 50 highest liquidity Polymarkets for particular simulation. So we asked specifically to focus on events that resolve within the next 30 days from the date that we're simulating, because it's helpful for a system to have some limitations. By that, it will fetch data faster and the program will work more smoothly. And of course, we mentioned that simulation should end and the winning outcome pays $1, which just basically means it happened. It was fully closed. The goal of this simulation is to display total invested amount, final value, and profit or loss, because we as humans, we want to understand was it successful or not. So as you can see, this prompt was executed in 3 minutes, and we got, again, kind of similar outline result with explanation what files were modified and how this new functionality works. Now we can select a date for simulation. We can load markets, shows up to 50 highest liquidity markets. We can view the data and we can calculate potential wins and losses. Important, when you're interpreting and reading through Claude Code answers, always take attention to the note part. As you can see here is important note mentioned, currently showing 0 markets because you only have 1 day of data collected today. So that will be source of inspiration for you to come up with the next prompt and from maybe after that. So always read those answers. Related to this, I asked the next prompt, which is develop simulation in a way it could easily access any historic Polymarket data. As you can see, my prompts are not fully polished and they're just kind of stream of consciousness, even have grammatical mistakes, and Claude Code understands this, so don't worry about that. Just use it and have those fast feedback loops. Okay, so this one is interesting. As you can see, it took 39 minutes this time for Claude Code to generate the second version of this second feature. And again, we see updated files, we see functionality described in how it works. Now we can select any historical date, defaults to 45 days ago. System fetches resolved markets from Polymarket that resolve within 30 days. For each market, it gets historical prices at simulation date, resolution outcome. So again, you can start using it more functionally, and finally you can have it as a real simulation with those functionalities being implemented. Okay, I guess I need to provide more context on this prompt. So it is, how much time does it take to fetch data from Polymarket on simulation page? Already loading for 10 minutes. As I waited before that 39 minutes, and when I executed and launched this program, it was loading really slowly. I was frustrated, so I decided to share this frustration with Claude Code. Answer of Claude Code is amazing. That's way too slow. The current implementation makes too many sequential API calls. Let me optimize it to be much faster. It's the kind of answer you would expect from a mid-level developer. So we got the answer, and there we faced another problem. When we run the simulation, I got only 2 markets to simulate, and that wasn't enough for me. I wanted to have top 50 markets, so like at least 50 options to choose from. So I wrote this additional prompt with more context for Claude to understand the problem I was facing. And as you can see, it understood the problem and tried to fix it. This is interesting. Even Claude Code provided me answer. It seems it didn't really did what I expected. Again, I tried to explain the problem in a different way, and I didn't realize the problem was not Claude Code. It was me not understanding what I'm asking for. So I explained that I wanted is for Claude Code to check the data fetching. I wanted to see more markets in simulation page, and I gave example. For example, crypto prediction markets, as they have liquidity and many prediction events every day that are resolved fast. That was the context, because in a simulation page, still I didn't see enough prediction markets happening. If you go to the next result it provided, as you can see, Claude Code understood the root cause. It even mentioned resolved markets have 0 liquidity because liquidity is drained after settlement. The original code filtered by liquidity number, which excluded all resolved markets. Only a handful of markets with leftover liquidity were being returned. Myself I didn't understand that, but Claude Code, from the example I provided, understood the intent and provided fully resolved program in the end. This is what I meant when I said that Claude Code with 4.5 Opus has that underlying thinking and understanding of nuance of your language and the way you prompt, which in this sense is exactly what they did, and a good example how it works superbly well. So this is the first build. You can see the dashboard of the program. You can see markets, filter them by these labels. Biggest mover part, nothing to see here. This one is interesting. As you can see, we have Black Swan events, many of them happening here. TikTok sale, for instance, just from in 14 days, switch from early low probability to totally different outcome. And final, we have outcome simulation. We can pick the date, minimum volume of the market. As you can see, we get the top 15 choices, and we can pick our position here, for instance, to know, and invest $20,000. Let's see what is the result. Wow, we got the profit of more than $4,000. So we can play with those numbers and all those markets and have the real historical simulation of Polymarket data. So let's move to the second program we mentioned at the beginning of the video, the inconsistency or arbitrage tracker. As you can see, we have no opportunities found, because that as well was a learning. I understood that there are not so many inconsistencies happening between those markets, and if inconsistencies happen, our program just basically cannot catch it. So if we go to admin panel, we can see the program is working. We see events from Kalshi, we can check event from Polymarket, so that works. We get the data. And for that, I used specifically different API called DOM API. This is Y Combinator company that built API if you want to build products both for Kalshi and Polymarket. So this program was fully built by Claude Code as well. Even though it wasn't useful in any way, as you can see, it was definitely a good learning experience. I learned a ton about prediction markets and their dynamics. And I think this is the goal of the learning, like just getting more knowledge and seeing how things work in real time, with real data, with real life problems. And that project was definitely all about that. And it was Claude Code 2 that enabled me to do this. Basically, I built this program with just several prompts, and again, it just shows how powerful this tool is. So that's Claude Code 2 in action. We went from idea to multiple apps without touching any code ourselves. No debugging sessions or long Stack Overflow searches. I don't know if people even use it. It just described the problem and watched it build the solution. That's the difference between this and every other code agent I have tested. So hopefully that inspired you to try it out yourselves in your own builds, whether you're an advanced coder or a beginner who has never written any code before. If that's the case, subscribe to the channel for more videos on these kind of industry developments and hands-on tutorials. Also, drop a comment if you tried Claude Code yourself. I want to know what you're using it for. And if you're feeling stuck on your AI journey and not sure where to go next, what tool to learn, we have made a video on exact roadmap on how to get into the field and become an advanced user of AI in no time. Just click here to see it. That's it from me. I will see you in the next one.